Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Uh, I can't really bury the lead on this one because it frustrates me to no end. And what you're looking at right here is the picture of the face of evil itself. Chuck Schumer demands border never closes bill pass, or else U.S. troops will have to fight in Ukraine. If we don't aid Ukraine, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war, and we could be fighting in Eastern Europe in a NATO ally in a few years. Trying to figure out what war we're supposedly in other than a proxy that clowns like him are trying to fight and sacrifice our economy and our people just so he can line his pockets. Speaking with MSNBC Monday morning, after the Senate released its bipartisan national security bill that includes funding for Ukraine, border security, and Israel, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the bill needs to pass, or we could be fighting in Eastern Europe, a NATO ally, in a few years. Now, he's basically threatening to, instead of having this proxy war that him and other clowns like him have been trying to force us to pay for, he's basically threatening to push us into an actual full-blown open war. This bill is crucial, and history will look back on it and say, did America fail itself? Schumer said the bill is crucial because if we don't, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war. We could be fighting in Eastern Europe and a NATO ally in a few years. Americans won't like that. Yeah, you're basically threatening the American people. You're saying that if we don't force our representatives to pass this crap bill, which it is absolute dog crap, then he is going to find a way to send everybody's fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters over to fight a war that he and others of his ilk really desperately want because it really enriches them. So it's either you do what we tell you, or we're going to kill your family members by proxy by sending them to a stupid war that we don't belong in. If we don't help Israel defend itself against Hamas, that perpetual war will go on and on and on. If we don't help humanitarian aid to the starving Palestinians in Gaza, hundreds of thousands could starve. Now, this one really is stupid because it's contradicting itself with the way it's done. Because he's wanting to help Israel defend itself against Hamas, while at the same time sending humanitarian aid money and stuff to the Palestinians, which the Palestinian government, their elected government, elected by them, literally is Hamas. So what you're looking at is that we are having, that this idiot wants to give money to Israel to fight the Palestinians, while at the same time giving the Palestinians money to give to Hamas to fight Israel. Just wanting to give money to Israel to fight Hamas, and wanting to give Palestinians money to give to Hamas to fight Israel. So it's just going to be a perpetual war, and what are we getting out of it at all? Why are we involved in any of this? We get enough problems here. And finally, after all that, he decides to say, and the border, everyone has said it's chaos. I wonder why. You want to open it up even further. You've done nothing on this. Hundreds of laws on the books you refuse to enforce, but no, it has to be the scary orange man complaining about. It has to be a scary orange man saying, hey, this is a bad bill because this is something he's going. Schumer said that too many Republicans, including Speaker Johnson, are just scared to death of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has said he wants chaos. No, he hasn't. He said he wants you to close the damn border. He said he wants you to stop sending all of our money to other countries. How about working on us for once and trying to make our lives better instead of shafting the American people every chance you get? Ask the people of East Palestine, Ohio, how how they're doing after that train derailment where our government decided instead of sending them aid, we're going to go and send $100 billion to Ukraine. How about the people of Hawaii that got caught up in a wildfire where people literally died and lost a lot of them lost all their homes and everything that they had to them. And what did we say? Oh, here, have $700 per household, and we're going to send another couple, and we're going to send another $50 billion to Ukraine. American people don't mean squat to people like Schumer and his ilk. And he's saying, oh, because the orange man has said, hey, this is a bad bill, don't sign it, it's a trap. Now, he's clearly the bad guy, and everybody's just scared to death of a guy with a bad spray tan and a horrible comb over. Can't be that they actually think for themselves that, hey, this is crap. Can't be that some of them, like me, I went through and read it. It can't be that some of them actually read the thing. Yeah, it took me a couple hours to read it because I'm a slow reader, and it's over 300 pages, but damn, it's one of the dumbest pieces of crap I've ever seen written. And, gotta calm down. The $118 billion national security supplemental package includes $60 billion in funding for Ukraine, the highest amount for any singular item in the package. How does this help our national security? Please explain to me. Now, originally, the way they were proposing this was a border bill, something to help with our border. What does the border get? The bill also includes $20 billion to address the ongoing border crisis under the Biden administration and $14 billion for security assistance in Israel. Is Israel or Ukraine anywhere near our damn border? Really? Why are we stop sending our money everywhere else? I mean, yeah, you got House Speaker Mike Johnson has stated that the bill would be dead on arrival in the House chamber. I've seen enough. This bill is even worse than we expected and won't come close to ending the border catastrophe the president has created. As the lead Democrat negotiator proclaimed under this legislation, the border never closes if this bill reaches the House. It will be dead on arrival, Johnson wrote on X. The bill states that if the border crossings average, and this is a typo, 5,000 per day or more, then Secretary of Homeland Security would use emergency authority to limit entry. This authority would also be used on any day 8,500 or more border encounters occur. In addition, this emergency authority is not mandatory. If the president finds that it is in the national interest to temporarily suspend the border emergency authority, the president may direct the secretary to suspend use of the border emergency authority on an emergency basis, the text adds. If an emergency authority is in place, the government will still be able to process a minimum of $1,400 inadmissible aliens each calendar day, cumulatively across all Southwest land border ports of entry, in a safe and orderly process developed by the Secretary. And it's worse than that. Believe me, it's so much worse than what the Speaker of the House is saying. I've read this thing. I'll show it to you in a moment. But we'll go to what Donald Trump actually said about this. His comment was only a fool or radical left Democrat would vote for this horrendous border bill, which only gives shutdown authority after 5,000 encounters a day, when we already have the right to close the border now, which must be done. This bill is a great gift to the Democrats and a death wish for the Republican Party. It takes the horrible job the Democrats have done on immigration and the border, absolves them, and puts it all squarely on the shoulders of Republicans. Don't be stupid. We need a separate border and immigration bill, which, whether you agree with Trump or not on anything, the border and immigration bill should be separate from any foreign funding, because it is separate. It should not be tied to foreign aid in any way, shape, or form. The Democrats broke immigration and the border. They should fix it. Make America great again. And he posted another thing after it. The ridiculous border bill is nothing more than a highly sophisticated trap for Republicans to assume the blame on what the radical left Democrats have done to our border just in time for our most important ever election. Don't fall for it. Look, like I said, whatever way you look at it, whether you like the guy, you hate the guy, he still has a point, and it's a point that many have made over the years. That it should be, that stuff like this should be its own standalone bill. I'm sorry, because it's national security. We have, from my opinion, and yes, I have my biases, and I will admit them. From my opinion, we have no reason on God's green earth should we be messing around in these other countries. We've been, why in the hell are we policing everybody else? It's not our place. Let's go to the next thing. You have, now this is a snippet that it has from, for purposes of subparagraphs A and B, the average for the applicable 7-day period shall be calculated using sum of the number of encounters that occur between the southwest land border ports of entry of the United States, the number of encounters that occur between the ports of entry along the southern coastal borders, and the number of inadmissible aliens encountered at the southwest land border port of entry as described in subsection A to F IV divided by 2. So this type of legalese, this is why, the way this is written is why it took me almost 3 hours to read the bill. Aliens described in subsection from non-contiguous, I hope that's the word, countries shall not be included in calculating the sum of aliens encountered. Now this applies to the unaccompanied minors, and as Libby Emmons, who posted that, because she works for the Post Millennial as well, and Human Events. She's right. I see that it's about the unaccompanied minors, but it's still no good. Subsection A to C, as described previously on page 206, applies to exceptions for use of border emergency authority for an unaccompanied alien child. Under the legislative proposal, no asylum claim would be permitted after the 5,000 weekly cap unless it is made at a legal port of entry per Fox. Now, going on from there, we can go over to Greg Price. Not only does this bill codify 1.5 million illegal border crossings into law, but the border emergency that automatically gets implemented at 5,000 crossings per day in a week can be overturned by Joe Biden. And in case 1.5 million illegals isn't enough, it also locks in green card giveaways through 2030. Mandatory activation: the Secretary shall activate the Border Emergency Authority if, during a period of 7 consecutive calendar days, there is an average of 5,000 or more aliens who are encountered each day, or on any one calendar day, a combined total of 8,500 or more aliens are encountered. Calculation and activation in general, for purposes of, in general, if the President finds that it is in the national interest to temporarily suspend the Border Emergency Authority, the President may direct Secretary to suspend use of the Border Emergency Authority on an emergency basis. In the case of a direction from the President under subparagraph it just gets worse. Section 201 of the Immigration and Nationality Act is amended in subsection by adding at the end of the following: for fiscal years 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029. 5,112 shall be substituted for 480,000 in paragraph, and 258,000 shall be substituted for 226,000 in paragraph of that paragraph. The additional visas authorized under subparagraph shall be issued each fiscal year and shall remain available in any fiscal year until issued, and shall be allocated in accordance with sections 201 and 202 and 203 in subsection D by adding at the end of the following. Then you have, let me go back to it because it actually is pretty interesting. You have what it boils down to. Let me pause this. We will full shot this. And that's unfortunately what this boils down to. But it's even worse than that. Even if they didn't get the ability to vote, which in most states they will not allow anybody illegally here to vote. They don't have to. The census counts everybody, whether you're legally here or not. The national census that runs every 10 years counts everybody, and that's how they delegate. That's how they allocate representatives for states, and basically electoral votes. Even that's how they calculate it, is by taking that and going for it. And you have where Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, he basically points it out that they don't have to do anything. There are already laws on the books that would enable, if our administration actually wanted to do something to solve this, they already have things on the books to allow it, to fix it. Well, not fix it, but at least help. I mean, but ultimately, it doesn't even matter power. It's the fact that this scumbag right here, either you do either you do as he demands, or he is more than willing to send your family members to die to enriching him. It's either comply or die is basically what he's saying from the way I translated what, and I could be wrong on it. I'd love to hear somebody tell me otherwise on it. But before I go, and I will try to find a way to link this in the description, this right here is the bill, the Emergency National Security Supplemental Bill text. All 370 pages of it. I have it from the appropriations.senate.gov. And I will be linking this in the description of the video. If anybody out there wants me to go through, I've already read it once, but I would consider doing this in doing a live stream where I read the whole thing, if somebody wants me to do so. Either way, I thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this long, I am just frustrated with a lot of this because this evil piece of filth here, I don't know how anybody could rationally think the way he does, and he tells you this with a smile on his face, that he will happily send your family to die, to go die in another country where we don't belong, if we don't send money over there that he can launder back to himself. Because that's basically it. That 60 billion that's going over there, that's just more money he's going to launder into his pockets. Because quite frankly, most of the weapons manufacturers and stuff like that, this is an anti-gun guy that has so many investments in weapons manufacturing that he will never ever want for anything for the rest of his life with the amount of money he could draw from just the interest alone. But either way, I thank you very much for watching this long. If you have, please let me know if there's something you'd particularly like me to go over. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have better news I can go over. I would like to go over some of the news related to Tucker Carlson, but tomorrow. But we'll see what the headlines are in the morning. But anyways, I thank you very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you think I earned it. And have a pleasant evening, day, or wherever it is for you, and I will catch you in the next one.